Welcome to Petty Details, where the crew gallivants down a tree-lined lane of conversation on all kinds of different subjects. Join the crew as they jump in the Wayback Machine in the quest for nuggets of knowledge. Our journey will allegedly drop some petty details on you that you didn't know you needed to know until now. Welcome to Petty Details.
Hello.
I am Meg, your host. We have
Hello.
our other host, Cam, and our other host, Monica. Hi.
And our other
Hi,
host,
hi.
Finnick.
Yeah, Finn.
Hi, buddy.
Hi,
He deserves some
buddy.
cheese.
Yeah. We'll see how long he sticks around. Not long at all.
So, if you want to see
There
more
he goes.
dogs, you need to subscribe
Yes,
It's
because
just
they
the
pop
absolutely.
up
smell.
every once in a while.
They make guest appearances or just their noses do.
That's right. On this episode, I'm going to tell you that I probably have missed some facts because there's a lot out there.
Oh yeah.
I've shoved in as many as I could. So, if I missed one, please let me know in the comments. If you know some petty details, we would love to hear them.
Absolutely.
Yep. And today we are going to go in the Wayback Machine. All right. So let's talk about the 27 Club.
Okay.
So this is
Oh.
a club, if you will,
Mhm.
of artists who have all died at 27.
And like there's quite a list.
There is. So this is going to be a whole
A very
series.
big list.
Ooh.
But we've
Oh,
already talked about a
nice.
couple of these. We talked
Well,
about Brian Jones and Robert Johnson.
Okay.
okay.
Okay. And this club goes all the way back to 1892.
What?
Yeah.
What? You're kidding me.
Mm-mm.
That's wild,
Yeah.
actually.
When composer Alexandre Levy
Yes, that guy.
died, yeah, he died, and he's considered the first of the 27 Club.
Whoa.
Oh, man.
1892?
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
But today we're going to talk
Yes.
about a more modern example, although it's
Okay.
still 55 years old at this point.
Damn.
Modern.
Right. So it's going to hurt some people's feelings.
Probably.
But we are talking about Jimi Hendrix today.
Oh,
And he's one of the
yes.
Oh.
more famous ones. So,
Okay.
okay, so
Mm.
James Marshall Hendrix was born the first of 5 children in Seattle, Washington on November 27th, 1942.
Okay.
Petty detail
Okay.
already.
Oh,
He was actually
Oh.
born Johnny, but his name was changed to honor his dad and his uncle.
oh wow.
Oh.
Okay. His paternal grandmother was a vaudeville performer and a dancer, so he had some like entertainment in his blood.
Okay.
Another petty detail.
Mhm.
When he was born, his dad was in the military and he couldn't get the standard leave for Jimmy's birth. And his dad was actually put in the stockade to prevent him from leaving the base and actually received word that Jimmy had been born while he was still in the stockade.
Oh my God.
Dude,
They were serious
that's
about keeping him
crazy.
there.
They were like, we throwing you in jail so you don't try and go
Ah,
AWOL.
Yeah, that's so messed
Or
up though, right?
it is.
no, really.
Why couldn't he get I don't, that's crazy.
I don't know.
Mm-mm.
All right, so Jimmy's mom shuffled him among like other family members, and his dad didn't even get to see the kid until he was almost 2.
Oh my
Really?
goodness.
Mm-hmm. And it wasn't a great childhood.
And that's his first kid too.
Yeah.
You said first of 5.
Dang.
That's
Mm-hmm.
wild.
Both of his parents were alcoholics,
Okay.
and all of his siblings ended up in the system.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dang.
that's rough.
Yeah. And when he was 9, his parents divorced and he went to live with his dad.
Okay.
Okay. But by elementary school, he was already showing an interest in music. So he would run around the school and at home with broomsticks and play air guitar, which I thought was great.
That is freaking
Nice. That's
awesome.
cool.
I love that.
Yeah. So this became such a thing that the school social worker apparently once wrote that preventing him from getting a guitar would cause psychological damage.
Yeah.
Oh
No,
my God.
some people are just meant to do
Yeah.
certain things.
I just think that
Jimi
it's
Hendrix.
Yeah.
crazy that she
Yeah.
recognized that in elementary school.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
he was 100% meant to play guitar.
Yes, he absolutely was. But it wasn't until he was about 15 when he got an instrument. And it was a
Really?
ukulele
Okay.
that was found
Okay.
in the trash that only had one
Okay.
string.
Okay.
But he would play that one string along to songs like Hound Dog by Elvis, and he was
Hmm.
learning the chords by ear.
Wow.
And then in 1958,
Whoa.
he bought his first guitar for $5.
Nice.
And he was listening to blues like Muddy Waters and Robert
Mm-hmm.
Johnson, the other 27 Club, to really like learn the chords. But he
Okay.
realized it wasn't really the sound he wanted. So about a year later, he bought his
Hmm.
first electric guitar, and then he started playing
Uh,
small gigs with no bands or no
okay.
name bands.
Yeah.
And I
Crazy.
think that you had a petty detail here about his guitar.
Oh, yeah. So I did a report on him like a million years ago in high school. Um, and I just remember we had to have a visual aid. And so I cut out and made his most famous guitar. Because he's got one that you
Oh.
always see him with. Um, and I made that guitar out of cardboard. Um, but somebody told me that I had made it backwards, and I was like, well, no, Jimi Hendrix was left-handed. He would take a regular guitar because that's what he could afford because they were much more inexpensive at the time, and he'd flip it over and restring it. So it was just a regular guitar restrung so that he could play it left-handed.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's cool. So when it's left, what's a normal guitar? Is the back of the guitar to your right or left for right-handed people?
So you mean the neck of the guitar is in the right hand?
Yes.
Yeah, right hand, I think.
So your dominant hand is at the top of the guitar, the neck.
I don't know.
I'm almost positive, yeah.
Okay, okay. I
Yeah.
was just wondering because I'm left-handed, so I'm like, okay, I don't know how I would hold a guitar. If I was holding it, I'd probably hold it with my left hand at the top.
I don't know.
So
I am not a
not
Well,
my
guitar
no.
right,
player, so I don't know.
Well, and I was gonna say every time
but I
I've
don't know.
picked up a guitar, that's just how I've done it is the neck in the right hand. So yeah,
And you're right-handed, right?
yeah. I don't play
Okay.
guitar, but yes.
Right, right.
Right.
Okay.
So if any of you actually know out
Not
there,
picking up guitar
let us
anytime.
know.
Right.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was gonna say
I was like, I'm not picking up
we
guitar anytime soon, but
I feel like we have a couple of listeners and
I'm
watchers
sure we do. That
that
are
are
probably
guitar.
screaming at us through the screen right now.
Yes, they
Yeah.
100% are.
right. If you're left-handed, drop a comment below.
Right.
Right.
I want to know my people.
For real.
All right. So now we're in the
If you're
late.
left-handed and play guitar, call
Please
me.
let
No,
us
I'm
know.
just
Yeah.
kidding.
All right. So
Call
we're in
me.
the late 50s, early 60s here.
Okay.
But
All
he's
right.
getting into trouble.
Oh,
And
musicians, man, they tend to.
yeah, they do. And by 1961, he had quit school. He got busted for riding in stolen cars.
Oh.
And the judge gives him a
Okay.
choice between jail or the army. Funny
Mhm.
enough, this
Oh,
is the same
well,
choice that
you
my
know.
dad was given.
Really?
Oh my gosh.
Petty
Mhm.
detail.
Well, you got to remember this
Right,
happened a
yeah.
lot like around
It,
that Vietnam era.
true.
They wanted
Right.
whoever they could take.
Right.
It's not like today where
Yeah.
they're like, I'm going to be selective about it. They were like, we don't
Yeah.
care. We're going to take everybody.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Jimmy chose the army and he enlisted in May of
Smart.
1961.
Okay.
Okay.
Ooh,
But he
wow.
didn't like the army and the army didn't like him.
I mean, fair.
Right.
Yeah. So he was trained as a paratrooper, but he just couldn't seem to follow the rules.
He was rebellious, but
Yeah. And he would do stuff like nap on duty or be late for his shifts. And this is going to be a theme
napping on
in
duty.
his life.
Yeah.
It's just a thing. So in June 1962, so he hasn't been in very long,
Oh gosh.
his sergeant wrote, quote, "He has no interest in the army. I feel the military service will benefit if he is discharged as soon as possible."
It's better for the army if he
Oh
gets the heck out of here.
my goodness, that's insane.
Wow.
They're like, please go.
Yeah. You take
Please,
him.
please get him out of here.
Yeah. So he received an honorable general discharge.
Okay.
Although there is another story that he was discharged due to an injury, but there
Oh, I
doesn't
hadn't.
seem to be any record of that.
Interesting. I was gonna say I
Hmm.
hadn't. I don't remember ever hearing that.
Mm-mm. I found it out there in a couple of sources, but it never had any real facts behind it. So
Yeah.
I'm throwing it out there as a
Right.
thought, not a fact.
It's a
Okay,
theory.
exactly. So in late 1962, he decides to move to Tennessee and start really getting his stage show together.
Okay.
And he starts playing his guitar with his teeth after he saw a couple other guys doing it. And he's
With his
learning to play like behind his back.
Okay.
Yeah. So not only is he restringing stuff
Okay.
backwards, but he's playing it with his teeth too.
Okay.
Teeth is crazy because you
Right.
have no like finger. You have like you can move it, but your teeth, you're just like, what are you just nodding at the guitar?
You're gnawing on it. Yeah,
Yeah,
like you're
yeah.
just biting biting the guitar.
I don't know.
He needed more fiber in his life. It's fine.
Right. Yeah. Can you imagine the germs on that thing? Gross.
Ew.
Oh.
All right. So for a couple of years, he plays the Chitlin circuit,
Okay.
which was a
Chitlins
bunch
are
of
good.
venues that would support Black artists during the segregation.
Ah,
There were a
Okay.
lot of other people who came from the Chitlin circuit, like B.B. King, Aretha
really?
Franklin,
Hmm.
Okay.
Diana
Oh.
Ross, Ike and
Wow.
Yes.
Tina Turner,
Some big names.
Okay.
Dang.
James
Okay.
Brown,
Right.
Marvin Gaye, Ray Charles,
Holy
Patti
crap.
LaBelle, the Jackson
Damn.
Five. Yeah, the list goes on and on.
Holy
Right. Right.
crap. Okay.
Yeah, it
Just
was a
amazing
thing.
artists.
It was a
Yeah.
That's
thing.
awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then he starts getting jobs being in the backup bands of people like Wilson Pickett, Sam Cooke, Ike and
Okay.
Tina, and Jackie Wilson.
Cool.
So some more big names, right?
Yeah.
But he
Hmm.
gets bored with this, which is another theme in his life.
He doesn't have very much of an attention span.
No, he does not. And in 1964, he moved to Harlem and
Okay.
he enters this
Okay.
amateur contest at the Apollo Theater and ends up winning first prize.
Oh, wow.
And this leads
Nice.
him to playing the Harlem circuit.
Ah.
Okay. And on the
Ah.
Harlem circuit, he'll be noticed and he got a job with the Isley Brothers. So Harlem circuit is a big thing
Oh,
too.
wow.
Um,
Okay. Yeah, some big names
Hmm.
there. Yeah.
mhm. But again, he gets bored and pretty quickly, and he only plays with the Isley Brothers for about 8 months before joining Little Richard's band,
Oh my gosh. Dude,
which I
he
did not
What?
know.
so I didn't realize he bounced all over the place, but he played with
He played with some
some,
names,
yeah, he did.
Yeah.
and they
Jeez.
aren't
And
rock names either.
no, but he held his, and I mean, obviously held his own. Damn.
Hmm.
No, yeah.
I mean, some of them are rock names, but most of them on there aren't.
Nuh-uh.
And that's a whole different style of playing. So,
Yeah, it is.
hmm. So in July 1965, he was in his first TV appearance when he played in Little Richard's band when they appeared on Night Train.
Okay.
But he's kind of showboating
Shocker.
and he's again not really conforming with his clothing style. You're seeing the theme here, right?
Yeah.
Not to mention, he
Right.
can't seem to make it anywhere on time.
Right. So
So
Dang.
late.
yeah, so he gets fired. Yeah,
Jimmy.
I know. Come on, Jimmy. All right, so petty detail here. Among some of the songs where Jimmy played backup were I Don't Know, wait, you don't, I Don't Know What You Got, But It's Got Me by Little Richard.
Okay.
Move Over and Let Me Dance. Have
Okay.
You Ever Been Disappointed? And Testify 1 and 2 by the Isley Brothers.
Wow.
There's
Okay.
also Mercy, Mercy by Don Covey. So if you want to hear Jimmy
Okay.
doing other stuff, check those
Right.
out. And even though he got fired, things are still looking up for him in 1965 when he signs his first contract with Sue Records.
Okay.
In spite of that, in late 1965, he also signs a 3-year contract with Ed Chalpin.
Why did that name sounds
Okay.
familiar?
Um,
Yeah.
he was, he was one of the guys. He was a manager.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Or he
He's
was,
one of
a
the
record
guys.
contract guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
Weird.
like I
Okay.
said, he gets bored easily. So he's bouncing around, he's starting bands. Um, he's bouncing around pre-established bands. But in
Mm-hmm.
1966, he happens to be playing a show where Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones' girlfriend sees him and she's impressed.
Okay.
Oh.
So he's got to be good because Keith Richards is pretty good.
Well, I was gonna say to catch the eye. Yeah.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. So through this connection, he gets in with Chaz Chandler of the Animals, who was
Okay.
moving into being a manager slash producer.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So Chandler, as his new manager, suggests Jimmy record a cover of the Billy Roberts song, Hey Joe.
Hmm.
And in late
Okay.
1966, Jimmy heads to London with Chandler. Once there, Chandler starts assembling the band that will become The Experience.
Ah.
Okay. So Chandler's really giving Jimmy some connections. He's
Mm.
been
Hmm.
with the Animals. He knows people, right?
Yeah.
So in October 1966, he takes him to a Cream concert and introduces him to Eric Clapton, who is also super impressed by Jimmy's playing.
Which again,
Oh.
it's
Another
Eric
heavy hitter.
Clapton.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's Eric Clapton. So if you can catch his eye, you're clearly doing something right.
Right. So Chandler also gets Jimmy and the Experience a chance to be the opening act for Johnny Halliday's tour of France.
Oh wow.
So in late October 1966, Jimmy and the band record Hey Joe. And then by November, they head off to Germany.
Okay.
And one concert in Germany will change rock history. Okay. So Jimmy is on stage one night when the crowd tries to pull him off the stage.
Oh wow.
And
Oh.
he smashes his guitar in a moment of panic. And the crowd loved it. And Chandler
Oh,
loved it.
the
And
theatrics of it. Yeah.
he made it a part of the shows going forward.
Oh
But it
wow.
was all a
Oh my
mistake. It
goodness.
was like
Jimmy was freaking out.
Jimmy was freaking out.
Right.
Hmm.
To
Wow.
go to go from like barely being able to afford the guitar to now just smashing them every
Every
show.
Right.
show.
Right, right.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Crazy. That's crazy.
So when Jimmy gets back to London, he plays a show where all the heavy hitters are watching. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're talking Eric Clapton,
Mm-hmm.
Paul McCartney,
Okay.
Jeff Beck,
Okay.
Pete Townsend, Mick Jagger, and Brian Jones.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
That
So he,
is
everybody
talk
who was
about
somebody back then, right?
stage fright.
Right. And he's really making a name for himself in the rock scene,
Okay.
which gets him his first interview, where the reporter said he would, quote, whirl around the business like a tornado, which was true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in December 1966, Hey Joe was released in the UK, peaks at number 6 on the UK charts, which is not bad
Hmm.
for a debut single.
Right.
And then the tornado starts.
Oh boy.
So in early 1967, it is a whirlwind for Jimmy. He's going on the UK's Top of the Pops.
Mm-hmm.
Then Purple Haze is released, which goes to number 3, and The Wind Cries Mary, which goes to number 6 on the UK charts.
Wow.
Those are pretty good for your first 3 singles,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Absolutely.
And Chandler now knows that he has to make the show meet the success of the singles.
Yeah.
So he wants to get Jimmy more exposure.
Okay.
And the band that puts on the biggest show at this point is The Who. They put on a show.
Mhm.
They do.
So Chandler decides he needs to make Jimmy's show bigger than that and more exciting.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So Chandler is talking about this like one night with a journalist named Keith Altham, and he makes a joke about like, too bad you can't set a guitar on fire. The reporter does.
Mm-hmm.
And the light bulb goes off above Chandler's head. And next thing you know, he's
Oh
calling for lighter
gosh.
fluid. Like
Oh
legit,
He said
geez.
like
bet.
right then.
Yeah.
Right. He's like, "Oh, you want to bet? I got you."
Right.
Let's do
Bet
this.
we can do this.
Right.
Right.
Well, now Chandler has gotten Jimmy some great singles. He's got a
Yep.
real great gimmick for the shows, and it's time for a whole album. So the album is released in May of 1967, and it does really well. It goes
Mm.
all the way to number 2 on the UK charts and was only stopped at being number 1 by Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album.
Wow.
Oh.
So he had some competition.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
All right. But Chandler knows it's time for Jimmy to go worldwide. So the album is released in the US in August and peaks at number 5. But people in the States don't really see the appeal of Hey Joe, and it doesn't
Interesting.
chart at all.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
UK loved it, US not so much.
Interesting.
So Chandler sees the perfect opportunity to get Jimmy in front of US audiences when he books him to play the Monterey Pop Festival in June of 1967.
Pop festival, huh?
Yeah, which I mean, there were a lot of heavy hitters there too. Um, and it made some names. Like the Monterey Pop Festival made some names. So
Yeah.
Brian Jones will introduce him as, quote, the most exciting performer he's ever heard. And Jimmy actually lives up to that.
That is some high praise.
Right.
Wow.
So Jimmy is wearing these exotic clothes and he's doing his bit. He's playing the guitar behind his head. He's playing it with his teeth. And the new part of the show, setting the guitar on fire. Well, a
Uh-oh.
17-year-old in the crowd happens to take one of the most iconic pictures in rock history, which is Jimmy on his knees looking like he's conjuring up the fire on his guitar with his hands.
Oh, that's so
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some 17-year-old kid took that picture on a whim,
That's
Wow.
awesome.
I can't.
right?
That's crazy. Yeah.
And the Monterey Pop Festival, as we've said in California, turns out to be a huge concert in rock history. It ends up being overshadowed by Woodstock, though, that takes place a couple of months later. But the
Right.
Monterey was a big deal, right?
Mhm.
So the festival took place between June 16th through the 18th of 1967, and it's considered to be the first rock festival that launched the Summer of Love.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And all the proceeds went to charity. So all the artists there performed for free.
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. And like we said, this festival has some huge names. And some that would this festival would launch people. So
Become, yeah.
Mhm.
right. So Janis Joplin, Otis Redding,
Yeah.
The Who,
Mhm.
Simon and
Mhm.
Garfunkel, and the
Yeah.
Mamas and the Papas. All
Oh
of this.
wow.
And this
Wow.
is the
Wow.
festival that really launches Janis Joplin's career, Otis
Mm-hmm.
Redding's
Mhm.
career, and Jimmy's career.
Damn.
Dang.
So
Yeah.
here's that photograph with the oops with the fire, like him conjuring
Yep.
the flame. I don't know how well you're
Oh.
gonna be able to see it. But yeah, that's
Mm.
like
Everybody
I
knows
can't
that
believe
picture.
I can't believe a 17-year-old kid
Yeah.
took that picture.
Right?
Just randomly, like, wow. Talk
Yep.
about right place at the right time. Dang. Anyways.
Exactly. So because Jimmy is such a hit at the festival, he's booked to play in San Francisco at the Fillmore. He is on the same ticket as Janis Joplin and the Big Brother Holding Company and Jefferson Airplane.
Okay.
It's a hell of a show, right?
Yeah.
So now it's time for the second album. And you got to strike while the fire's hot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the second
Literally.
album, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
second album has some really cool features that were new at the time. It used harmonic feedback that made the sound revolve around the listener. You've heard those.
Uh-huh.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It is also the first recording of stereo phasing. And I am
Wow.
not
Mm.
going to try and explain this, but it's basically complicated physics shit
Yeah.
about how sound waves travel and how certain frequencies in recordings can get lost.
Yeah,
Whoa.
So, if
that's
anybody
cool.
knows a better explanation than that, please let me know.
Please
Put
tell
it in the
us.
comments. Yeah,
Right.
if anybody's
Yeah.
smarter than me. Okay, so, but this record will also show how almost like immature Jimmy is. So
Okay.
he ends up losing the master tape of side one because he leaves it in a cab.
Oh no,
Oh my God. So somebody's rolling out there with
Yeah.
this
the
master
original master
tape,
tape.
And how
right?
much you want to bet it probably got thrown away?
Oh, I'm sure it
Oh, it
did.
absolutely
Yeah.
did.
Uh-huh.
But this means that they have to
And
remix side one overnight because they're out of time.
oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh crap.
Oh my gosh.
And Jimmy ended up not liking the second mix, but it's his own fault because he's the one who lost the tape.
Yep.
Right. Too bad, so sad.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, this one's on you, Jimmy.
Right. So in spite of this, the second album is released in December of 1967. It peaks at number 5 in the UK, and it's released in February 68, and it finally gets Jimi Hendrix on the map in the US.
Gets him some notoriety over here.
Right. So in the US, it peaked
Hmm.
at number 3.
Wow.
But
Nice.
it's around 1967 that Jimmy starts to get into the hardcore drugs.
Ugh.
So he had
Mm.
kind of been like smoking weed, but around 66 and 67,
It
somewhere
was the
around there.
60s, so yeah.
Yeah. He starts getting into acid, amphetamines, cocaine, and heroin.
Ugh.
Yeah. When he goes
That's
hard.
yeah, that's
Scary.
hard.
Right.
Jesus.
But he can't slow down, right? Because he's a big act right now. So in December
Hmm.
67,
And if he slows down, he'll get bored.
right.
Right. And
But
if I mean if you're on every upper ever, then yeah, you really can't slow down.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But remember, okay, so he has just released the second album December of 67.
Right.
Again, in December of 67, he starts recording the third album.
Oh, that quick already. Wow.
Yeah. And
The
by this,
turnaround is crazy.
yeah,
Right?
work, work, work. No
Just
wonder he was on coke.
Seriously.
He had to
yeah,
stay up.
kind of had to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But by this time, Jimmy is a perfectionist. He's
Mm.
really kind of being a diva and he's demanding multiple takes.
Okay.
He's also got tons of friends that were allowed
Uh-huh.
in the studio. Like so
Oh.
many you couldn't even walk. And this leads to
Oh.
chaos and pisses off Chandler.
So he was like throwing concerts in the recording studio, basically.
Yes. I think it was more parties kind of
Ah,
thing than
okay.
concerts. Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounded like he was doing more drugs than
Singing.
music. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so petty detail here. On this record, Steve Winwood plays the organ on Voodoo Child.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Huh.
Okay, so this album again is a huge hit. It's got All Along the Watchtower, which is the
Love that
cover of
song.
the Bob Dylan song, which peaks at number 6 in the UK, and
Hmm.
was Jimmy's only top 40 hit in the US, peaking at number 20.
Really?
Yes,
Whoa.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a fantastic song. I love that song. His cover specifically, but
20.
this is the only top 40. Wow.
And it didn't get to number 1.
No.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's
He,
insane to me.
right. So that actually happened with a lot of artists. I have another episode on
Hmm.
deck somewhere about how many of the big name artists that have never
Yeah.
had a number 1 hit.
And I mean,
Wow.
that's not necessarily what makes them big, right? I mean,
No, but you
obviously,
assume,
Right,
right?
right,
but you're right.
right.
You would assume with it, the popularity, the interest, just all of it would make those
Right.
singles go up the chart. But wow,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Mm.
But in spite of this, this album will do great when it's released in October of 68. and it peaks at number 1 in the US and number 6 in the UK.
Okay.
So the album's doing good. It's selling,
Yeah.
Hmm.
but apparently the Billboard charts don't think so. So, all
Interesting.
right. So
I wonder
petty
if there's
detail.
any I
Go
wonder if
ahead.
there's any correlation there between like the album's ranking and like the Billboard charts. Like or the sales of the album versus the Billboard charts. I don't know. It's
You mean
just
like the science of it, or?
yeah, like it's just
Oh, okay.
weird that the albums are selling. He obviously did very well, but like
Hmm.
his songs didn't
Yeah.
necessarily chart. Like I'm like, what?
Because maybe
Okay.
they're just not mm, radio kind of hits at that point in time.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that would be the biggest thing because the Billboard Top 40 is
hmm
airtime.
But people love the
So,
album, so
Hmm.
they want to hear it.
yeah,
Right, right.
Yeah. So it's almost like an underground kind of thing. I don't know.
right.
Maybe.
Maybe. Who knows?
All right. So petty detail here.
Hmm.
The song Burning the Midnight Lamp on the third album was one of the first recorded songs to use the wah-wah pedal,
Okay.
which wasn't a new concept, but it had a new design.
Ah.
And by this time, Jimi is really starting to be demanding about the remixes and multiple takes in the studio,
Hmm.
which costs a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So in 1968, he says, forget it, and he opens his own studio, Electric Lady Studios, in New
Okay.
York City.
Huh.
So, but he's also drinking a lot more.
Mm. Oof.
And according to friends and ex-girlfriends, he would be a mean drunk.
Oh.
Oh,
He would get into fistfights with his friends and his girlfriends.
Oh.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's sad to see too, because you had said like his mom and his dad were both
Hmm.
alcoholics as
Hmm.
well. So it's just like to see that like
To
Yeah.
see that cycle
continue.
just continue, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's just sad.
Yeah. And in 1968, he gets drunk and gets into a fight in Sweden
Oh
where
no.
he smashes a window and cuts up his hand,
Ugh.
which is
Mm.
not good for a guitar
A
player.
guitar player, yeah, no,
No,
it's
right?
you
So
don't
he's
mess
kind of
with the
like
money makers.
reckless at this point, you know? Like he's
Hmm.
always been kind of that way, it seems, but
Right.
the
It's
drinking and the
More
worse.
drugs
so,
is not
yeah.
helping. So, by January of 1969, Jimi has really let this fame go to his head.
Yikes.
Mm.
So the band is booked on the UK variety show called Happening for Lulu on the BBC.
Hmm.
And this is a live show with a tight schedule.
Okay.
Hmm.
And he's
Live.
Oh,
never on
and he's
time
never on
anywhere.
schedule. Yeah.
Also,
Hmm.
Lulu, who's obviously the host, likes to do duets on some of the songs and then talk at the end of the show. So it's planned that
Mm.
Lulu is going to do a duet with Jimi of Hey Joe.
Okay.
That's the plan.
Okay.
But Jimi is kind of being an ass.
Kinda. Yeah.
Shocker.
Kind of. Uh, he plays a bad note and then retunes his guitar, then says he forgot the words and ends the song in the middle.
Oh.
Live
Wow.
show. Then he
Oh
says he wants to play a tribute to the band Cream, who had just broken up, and he starts playing Sunshine of Your Love.
my
Well,
gosh.
Hijacks the programming. That's crazy.
Yeah.
obviously the production team is now pretty pissed.
Yeah.
Hmm.
As is
And
the host, I'm sure.
oh yeah, so none of this was planned. It's live. He's going overtime. And after the show, Jimi is told that the band would never work for the BBC again.
Oh shit.
That's how bad it was.
Wow.
They're like, no.
Oh yikes.
Yeah.
Damn.
And as we've seen so far, things have been going off the rails since 67, right?
Yeah.
But in 69, he gets charged with possession of heroin and hash at the Toronto airport.
Damn.
Yikes.
Yeah. And he ends up saying that a fan had given him a vial and he didn't know what was in it, and he gets acquitted of the charges.
Wild. What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I was holding it for a friend.
Right.
Yeah, no, literally.
Can you I
Yep.
just yeah. But
Okay.
he is also up to his old bullshit.
Mm.
And the experience, the band, is getting pissed at him for always being late. Then he comes in acting like this diva who wants to control all the music himself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And in June 1967, the group is falling apart when they play the Denver Pop Festival.
Okay.
So this is another 3-day festival that's held at the old Mile High Stadium.
Okay.
Rest in peace, old Mile High Stadium.
Right.
This festival includes people like Johnny Winter, Joe Cocker, Creedence Clearwater Revival, and
Whoa.
Big Mama Thornton.
Okay.
Mhm. But this festival is doomed to fall into
Of
chaos.
course.
So on Saturday, the crowds start coming in at 5:30 p.m. for the show that's supposed to start at 6:30.
Okay.
And everything is cool
Yeah.
until a large group of mainly unticketed people start to charge the south entrance of the stadium.
Oh, yikes.
The
Oh.
police, yeah, they're like, yeah, we're gonna get in no matter what. So the police
Yeah.
try and push them
Sounds like
back.
Coachella.
Yeah. So the police try and push them back, but hundreds still get in.
Yikes.
So you can imagine how many people this is, right?
Yeah.
So by 7:30, there is another unticketed crowd at the main entrance.
Oh my
And
God.
yeah.
They're
And
just like, we're gonna show up.
yeah.
Yes.
And the police decide to show up in riot gear to fend off this crowd, which
Oh,
just
yikes.
pisses off the crowd.
I was gonna say that's just gonna incite it even more.
Yeah.
Literally.
So bottles and rocks are being thrown at the cops.
Oh.
But it's not just outside the stadium that it is devolving into chaos. Inside the stadium, some of the crowd starts attacking security.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Then a cop gets hit with a bottle of wine and all hell breaks loose.
An entire bottle,
Yeah.
bruh.
Can you imagine how much that would hurt?
Ugh.
Yeah.
So police start throwing canisters of tear gas into the crowd, and the crowd
Jeez.
starts tossing them back.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah.
Yikes.
And the wind is blowing just right where the tear
Right.
gas starts to hit the crowd inside the stadium as Johnny Winter is playing, and this causes panic.
Oh no.
Mm-mm.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
So the planner of the festival, Barry Fay, decides to just open the gates to everyone for free.
That's
He's like,
crazy.
this is
Wow.
not
This
worth
isn't
it.
worth
This
Not
it.
worth it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
Which is cool until Sunday
Oh
when
no.
people think that they should also get in for free.
Oh no.
Oh,
Well,
they're
yeah,
thinking it should just
so
continue and extend and be the
right.
entire festival. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you've given them they've seen that they can get what they want by doing whatever they
Uh-huh.
want. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
therefore, they know that
You
they can
opened
do it
it
again.
up. Yeah.
Right.
You give an
It
inch, they're gonna take a mile. Like
Yep.
it's gonna
exactly.
happen.
Exactly.
But by Sunday, the cops are ready.
Mm.
And this time they have the riot gear, they have dogs, and they have this insane mace machine that shoots like this fog
Oh.
because
Of
obviously the
mace?
canisters weren't working. So yeah,
Right.
it's a mace
Oh my
machine.
God.
They
It's a mace fogger. Yeah.
Aerosol.
aerosolized? Is that a word?
I don't know.
Aerosoled the
Yeah.
mace.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
That's crazy.
Oh
Yeah.
my
I
god.
bet you that
Like,
shit burns too breathing it in.
Oh yeah.
oh
Ugh.
god.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you just your nose, your mouth, your
Oh,
eyes.
yeah.
Ah,
You probably start
Well,
throwing up too.
right?
this
Gross.
crowd is not about this life.
Yeah.
And they start throwing rocks at the cops.
Gosh.
And the cops
Right.
start macing more. So fights are breaking out between the cops and the crowd, and about 3,000 people are let in for free when Jimi is playing.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Chaos. It's
I
chaos.
wow.
Yeah. But the crowd is totally unruly at this point.
Well,
Also,
yeah.
I'd be pissed if I had a ticket. I was like, I
Oh
could have got
yeah,
in for free.
right? No, I would have been
Seriously.
pissed too. So the crowd starts to storm the stage.
Oh shit.
What?
Yeah,
Oh my
because at this point they
gosh.
don't give a shit.
It is just
No, they're like, fuck
100%
it.
chaos.
They aren't there
We can do
for the
whatever.
concert anymore. Yeah,
No.
Yeah,
yeah,
no.
they're there for the riot. So
Yeah.
Mm.
Jimmy and the band have to leave the stage and escape in the back of their rented equipment truck.
Oh no.
The crowd starts literally climbing the truck to the point where the top gets crushed.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my gosh.
What?
Yeah,
Why? Like,
but I don't, because people are crazy at this point.
well, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Somehow the band is able to get away, though,
Thank goodness.
unscathed.
They do that thing where they stop, everybody flies forward, and then they
Right.
Yeah.
like
And then
speed
they
up,
peel
everyone
out
flies off the back.
backwards.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine, though? You're in the back of this rental truck, in the back of a
No.
freaking U-Haul, and hearing these people climb on
Well,
the
and then
roof.
having the top crush in
Top
because there's so many
crushing, yeah.
people.
Yeah. All right. So, petty
Yikes.
detail here. This will be the concert where he really starts to put the Star Spangled Banner into his set list.
Okay, I was gonna ask, where does
Mm,
that come in? Because
Hmm.
iconic.
Yeah.
hmm
But like I said, by the time that Denver rolls around, the band is already pissed. They are sick of his shit. But Jimmy doesn't let this stop him.
Okay.
He gets some people together to go back on a couple of shows like the Dick Cavett Show and the Tonight Show. So that is not the experience on those
No.
shows.
Wow.
Then comes Woodstock in August 1969,
Okay.
and Jimmy's band, The Experience, has left. But Jimmy is supposed to headline Woodstock. He is the
Oof.
highest paid artist there. So
Wow.
he
Oh my
has to come up with a
goodness.
band.
Yeah.
And he comes up with this band like right before the show. They really
Like days
only
before or like
a couple weeks. Yeah,
Like,
they only really had a
okay.
couple weeks to rehearse before this festival.
Oh geez.
wow.
Yeah. And petty detail here, the temporary band would only rehearse twice after Woodstock before they broke up.
Dang.
So they can't handle this
Jeez.
shit either.
Yeah.
Right.
So Woodstock is in full swing, but it's not the most well planned of festivals, which is a whole nother story, right?
Oh yeah.
And most artists have been up for like 3 days,
Straight.
and they are
Jeez.
only awake because of massive amounts of drugs,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Jimmy starts to get upset because he doesn't like playing to huge crowds like this. Which I'm like, why are
Okay.
you playing festivals
Like,
then? But
what?
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Then
okay.
stop playing these circuits, stop playing these
yeah,
festivals because
Right.
huge people or huge crowds.
right.
Huge people.
Huge
Huge
people
people.
too. I'm sure there were some.
There are some big girls there.
I'm sure there were.
All right. So because the festival schedule is running behind, another long
Shocking.
story, the planners
Right.
give him the option of going on at midnight on Sunday night.
Good Lord.
Midnight.
Right.
Jeez.
His set was gonna start at midnight.
Yes. And you got to
Damn.
remember that a lot of the bands that you think of that were there
Uh-huh.
were totally drugged out and not playing at the time that they were supposed to. So
Right.
a
Right.
lot of the performances that you see like in that Woodstock documentary,
Uh-huh.
hmm
yeah, they're like 4 in the morning, kind of
Right.
thing. It's
Yeah.
not like 10 at night kind of.
hmm
Yeah.
It's not good. So Jimmy decides he wants to be the closer. But this means that he ends up playing on Monday morning at
Mm-hmm.
8 a.m. That's the only time
Jeez,
he can
man.
play.
Oh my gosh.
By this
8
time, most of the
a.m.
crowd was gone,
Right.
Yeah.
and he ends up playing a 2 hour set to only about 30,000 people.
Wow.
Which,
Out of the crazy
yeah,
amounts that were at Woodstock.
yeah.
That's
But
insane.
that's what he wanted. He didn't want to play the big
Right.
ass crowd, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, 30,000 is still pretty big, but
well, no, it
Right.
is. Like, don't get me wrong, that's still a ton of people, but compared to what had
Yeah.
been there.
But I mean, you assume again from the documentary that
Yeah,
everybody was there to see Jimmy.
right. No.
Right.
There weren't that many people there, and you
Oh.
know how many people were pissed when they
Yeah.
heard about that later.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
All right, so petty detail here. Although the Star Spangled Banner from Woodstock is considered the best and most iconic,
Mm-hmm.
it was actually performed in the middle of a medley of his other songs and not at the beginning or the end, as most people think.
Interesting.
Oh.
Yeah,
Huh.
he just shoved it in there.
Yeah, but it
hmm
is an absolute iconic
hmm
performance of the Star Spangled Banner. I
Yeah,
love it.
but I thought that was crazy about the whole Woodstock thing because I'm like, did not know
Yeah,
any of that.
interesting
Right.
though, for
So,
sure.
by January of 1970, Jimmy is not doing great.
But boy.
He plays the Winter Festival of Peace at Madison Square Garden, and allegedly he's in a real bad mood.
Oh boy.
Artists described him as just sitting backstage with his head in his hands. And
Mm.
once he gets on stage, he snaps at this lady in the audience when she shouts out a request for a song.
Oh boy.
Oh.
He plays a totally different song,
Oh gosh.
saying, quote, "That's what happens when Earth fucks with space." Not exactly sure what that means.
Okay.
Yikes.
I'm sure it meant something
I'm sure it meant
Right
to
something.
on, man.
him.
Yeah.
Right on.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
when you were on whatever drugs you were on.
Right, right, right.
Yeah. But it pisses him off so much that he ends up just sitting down on stage and then gets up and leaves.
So
What?
he throws a tantrum, he pouts, and then he storms off.
Yes.
He's
Yep.
gone
Okay.
past diva. He's into brat now. He's just
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
hmm
a
He's into toddler.
Right.
right, right, right.
Now, some claim he had been given acid before the show, but that is not confirmed.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. And again, his bullshit ends up with yet another band breaking up and leaving him.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That's what
He's got to have
happens when you
like
don't play
what's
nice.
that called?
Yeah.
Um when you like afraid of people leaving you type of thing. I don't know
Abandonment
what it's
issues?
called. Abandonment issues. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
He
He's got to
might,
have
but
abandonment issues at this
he
point.
keeps driving him away,
He
so
keeps putting himself in that position. Yeah.
I feel like he's also kind of being like, fuck you, I don't need you. I'm better
Yeah.
than you kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very that.
So, all right. So the first half of 1970 is pretty rough. He doesn't really have a functioning band, and his new manager is trying to get him lined up with the Experience again, but that fails because by this time he's also run
No,
off
they
his old manager, Chandler.
damn.
Yeah. So he's not writing new material. He's just recording previously written songs that weren't used on other albums.
Oh wow.
And this ends up getting abandoned and he goes back on tour instead. So, yeah,
Hmm.
he's being a brat for real.
Yeah.
Okay. But
Hardcore.
you remember that contract that he signed with Ed Chalpin way back in 1965?
Uh-huh.
Well, Ed hasn't
Oh,
forgotten.
I was gonna say Ed's gonna come calling on that, huh?
Yeah. He ends up suing Jimmy,
Ooh.
and it ends up that Jimmy has to record an album under Ed's contract. So,
dang.
yeah. So this recording is taken from two live performances with his new band and will be released in April of 1970. But his show is going downhill too.
Oh boy.
He plays a few places on his tour before his performance at the New York Pop Festival, which apparently is one of his worst sets ever because he's so drugged out.
Ugh.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's so sad to like, I don't know, the level of talent and to just see it deteriorate like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in late 1970, he goes on tour in Europe. And this tour is pretty rough, like the rest of 1970.
Right.
So one performance on September 2nd, he stops the set after only three songs and
Oh
says,
gosh.
quote, "I've been dead a long time," and leaves.
Oh,
Yeah,
I've
Oh
been dead a
crap.
long time. Okay.
right. And in
Would bring the
Germany,
mood down.
yeah,
Right, right.
and in Germany on September 6th, the crowd is pissed because he had canceled a show the night before because of a storm, and the crowd ends up booing him.
Mm.
Ooh. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sure he did not take that well.
I'm sure not.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah, can you imagine? I mean, this sounds like a movie
It does. No, it does.
where it's just not, you can see it going downhill, right?
Well, and it's just one hit after another,
Hmm.
Right.
after another, after another.
But guess what? It keeps getting better.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah. So he's in the
No,
middle
really.
of two paternity suits
Oh, jeez.
and
Well, I mean,
is,
I'm kind of surprised it didn't happen sooner, but yeah.
yeah. And he is also not pleased with his manager and is talking about leaving him.
Oh
So
gosh.
things are not going well for Jimmy,
No.
right? So he ends up leaving for London. And again, his band is quitting because of his antics.
How many bands did he end up going through?
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. And he ends up going to a London club and doing an informal jam session.
Okay.
But by September 17th, he's hanging out with this chick, Monica Danneman, and
Okay.
they're drinking, doing drugs. They end up going and hanging out with these other friends in the middle of the night. So Jimmy and Monica go back to the place, like her place, and they crash out about 7 a.m. on the 18th.
Okay.
She woke up at about 11 a.m. and found him unconscious but still breathing.
Yikes.
Mhm.
She can't wake him up and she calls the ambulance at 11:18.
Okay.
He's taken to the hospital, but he doesn't make it and he is declared dead at 12:45.
Whoa.
Dang.
So the autopsy and police report put his cause of death as asphyxia after inhaling his own vomit due to
Ugh.
being
Ugh.
intoxicated with barbiturates.
Yeah, so he was high
Yeah,
and got sick and then
breathed in it.
choked on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
Monica tells the police that he took about 9 of her sleeping pills, which
Whoa.
is like 18 times the
Ooh.
prescribed dosage.
Holy crap. No
Plus,
wonder she
he'd
couldn't
been
wake
drinking.
him up. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not good.
Right.
Damn.
So Jimmy is buried in Washington in the same cemetery where his mom was buried after she died when he was about 16. And
Okay.
after he dies, it's a total mess. So the paternity was never proven on the son and daughter because he never took the test.
Oh, jeez.
Mhm.
And all of these recordings start coming out that were unused recordings from earlier in his career.
Oh, boy.
So there's a bunch of unauthorized albums and merch that start coming out.
Uh-huh.
And
Oh.
all of this has to do with the publishing rights, which of
Yikes.
course aren't really laid out in a will because people are fighting over it.
Yeah.
It isn't until 1995 when his dad finally gets the estate settled in courts and wins the publishing rights.
Whoa.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Holy crap, 1995. Gee,
yeah. That's crazy, right?
that is insane.
So, of course, he wins a ton of awards after he dies. He gets a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame,
Mm-hmm.
but he really was an amazing talent
Mm-hmm.
that just couldn't seem to keep his shit together. Like,
No.
Right.
he just couldn't.
Uh-uh.
And even before he was doing a lot of drugs, he just didn't have his shit together.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you said, he was just
Mhm.
constantly late everywhere. Couldn't keep a schedule. Couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, last petty detail. Um, Apparently, there was a cast of his man parts made in 1968. Look at Cam's face.
Oh,
By this
why would
chick
they do that?
named Cynthia Plastercaster, which is a whole nother story.
Okay.
Oh,
But it was put on display in Iceland in 2022.
It was not.
It was.
Oh goodness. The fact that okay, I'm sorry. The fact that it's still around is
right?
one thing. Okay. Wow.
I found that and I was like, dang, 2022, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh man.
there you
Well.
I
go. That
also
is, go ahead.
I also love that of that petty detail, that's the part that shocked you the most.
I know.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Uh, yeah, well, Cynthia Plastercaster is a whole,
That's a whole
it's a whole
episode by
thing.
itself.
Maybe we
Yes.
maybe
I
we
feel
can
like
have
that's
her
a
on the
whole
show.
episode. Oh, there you go. Ah.
Watch
Yeah.
out, Cam.
Oh no. No, no, wait.
Walked right into that
Oh
one.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so
Uh-uh.
there's the story of one of the most famous members of the 27 Club, Jimi Hendrix.
Dang.
Kind of a sad story because
Absolutely. I
Honestly, yeah.
mean,
he just, it's like he was destined to not live long just because he was a
well,
tornado, right?
he was living
Everywhere he
hard.
Right.
went, he was a tornado. Like
Yeah.
he was taking over stuff, but he never stayed long and caused
Right.
chaos wherever he
Mm-hmm.
went.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, yeah, so
Jeez. But
there you
the
go.
but like I said, the
Crazy.
level of talent, like he was
Mm-hmm.
meant to play guitar.
He was.
Like he absolutely had to play guitar.
Yeah, but
Crazy.
I don't think he
Crazy.
was appreciated by the general public
No. Well, and
Mm-hmm.
especially
as much as he should have been.
during his time,
Hmm.
like I don't think they
Right.
recognized it
Yeah,
for what the, what he was at the time.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So did you know any of that, Cam?
No.
Did you
Well,
know
I
who
mean, I know
did you know
of
who
Jimi
Jimmy? Oh,
Hendrix.
okay. I was
Yes.
gonna say, did you
Like
know who Jimi Hendrix?
Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, like I
Uh,
know Woodstock, like I know the Star Spangled
Okay.
Banner, all that stuff. Um, but yeah, all the other stuff in between, no, for sure. I didn't even know he was part of the 27 Club until you
he is.
mentioned it. So
Hmm. Yep.
that's
So
crazy.
Yeah.
stay tuned for more 27 Club episodes in the future because there are
Yeah.
quite a few of
Mm,
them and
I was
they're
gonna
all
say
wild
there's
stories.
yeah,
Yep. All
crazy.
right. Well, stay
crazy.
petty, my friends, but not as petty as Jimi Hendrix in the recording studio.
Right.
All
Right.
right. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.